channel and on Instagram so that you guys can see. That way, I can have a recorded copy of what we're going to do today. And let me get my diaper in my lap so you don't have to see all that. And then I'm going to pull it down like this. So today, what we're going to be starting on today is a pair of, hey Barbara, I'm actually doing this in Poshmark and Instagram and YouTube right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start cleaning these guys up. So these are going to have to go down to the leather. So I think all of the sites can actually see this okay without me having to move it around too much. But these are really nice real tree, and I think they're Justin's. Or let me see. Why do I have glasses on that I thought were reading glasses, and they're obviously not? I don't know. So this is going to be a multi-part lesson. So today we're basically going to be working on getting it started, the start of the cleaning process. These are Justin's, yeah. So these are Justin's. But as you can see, they've got some pretty aggressive wear on the toes, on that boot. And then this one is not quite as bad. Let me bring this up just a tidge. Okay, perfect. I think all three of you guys can see it. Okay, hey Barbara, get to work. Get back to work, woman. So you see we have a very different amount of wear on each toe. And because of that, we actually have to kind of be a little more careful about how we go about processing it so you don't end up with one shoe darker than the other. So what I'm going to start today is cleaning, and I'm going to be using stuff you guys normally use, which is Leather Honey and Doc Martens. To be honest, I'm probably going to need to use saddle soap, but I wanted to try and at least use things that you guys are used to, um, just in case that's something you already have. These are going to have to be stripped. So right now, I'm just going to try and get them nice and clean, conditioned, let them dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll be using saddle soap, more than likely, depending on how they look after I clean them. We'll probably be using saddle soap to strip them, because I don't think either of these products actually strip the boots. And because we need to go deep on these all the way to the leather, we really need to strip them. So I'm going to give these a test, and we're going to see if these will actually strip it. I'll do one on one boot, one on the other boot, just so we can see what they look like after each of these different products. But again, this is kind of just a cleaner. Oh, thanks. I got my shirt and my shorts from Elise Silman on Poshmark. Elise had this, and I have a dog, and I live in Paradise because I live in the Keys. So I had to get it from her, and I got shorts. I got like a whole box of stuff from her. So I'm live on YouTube, Instagram, and Poshmark with this. The great thing about this way we'll actually have recordings of these lessons that I'm going to be doing. So if you want to go back later and kind of watch while you work on your items, we'll have it available. And I know some people will have to work during the day, so this way we'll have an available one for it. So we're going to start today. We're going to do a leather honey versus a Wonder Blossom clean condition. That'll give us a good setup to get these a little bit more open, get the leather a little more open, because then we're going to use saddle soap on them tomorrow to strip them. And by stripping, if this doesn't do it, I don't think these strip them. And basically by stripping, we mean remove any polish that's on them, get them all the way down. Hey, Lisa. I'm on Poshmark and YouTube and here right now, too. So, Lisa, if you want to come on Poshmark. Okay, so we're going to just start it, and then apparently somebody's trying to call me. Oh, hold on. Hello?
Hey, honey, Sabrina.
Hey.
It's good there to go today at 1 o'clock?
Today?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, then, honey. See you at 1,
Okay, bye. Okay, sorry about that. Let me get back to Instagram. We're having the Instagram. Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Sabrina called. She wants to come today instead of Thursday. So I might have to cut some stuff short. I got this from Elise, who's just said, I love the shirt and the shorts. I have the shirt and the shorts on. I actually pulled them out of my car so that I could pimp you. Yeah, so it looks really cute. I did put on a athletic top underneath just so I wouldn't be flashing you guys since you're going to be in the boob area. Okay, so I'm actually going to be using, because these are like rugged boots anyway, so, and they're already scratched up, I'm going to be actually using a Scotch-Brite hand and nail brush, which is a really firm. There really aren't this level of firmness for brush boots, for boots and shoes, unless it's the brass ones that are really for other stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and brush these down really quick. We're going to use leather honey on one boot, and we're going to use Doc Martens Wonder Blossom on the other boot. Now, one, of course, is this one's been through a lot more than the other one, but you know, the rest of the leather we'll be able to see like how it works as far as conditioning, and then we're just going to strip the whole thing. I just got to find my saddle soap or go buy some. Couldn't find my saddle soap today, but I wanted to give it a shot at least to see how the stuff you guys normally use. And like, I mean, I'll use Doc Martens and leather honey just for like a quick condition. But normally, hi Leisha, hey, hey Starlight, how are you? Um, but normally saddle soap is just my preferred deep cleaning because it does also strip off all the old wax. Because what'll happen a lot of times, like when your boots crack or shoes or boots crack and stuff, those areas, the wax is cracking off already in that area. So if you don't strip the boot too, you're going to have some areas that are still going to have some polish on them, some areas that are down to the leather. And then if you are actually going to dye, which we're going to do with these boots, if you're going to dye them, then you're going to have inconsistent color throughout. So that's why you really want to make sure that you are stripping your boots before you dye them or paint them. So because these are work boots, we're going to dye them. We're not going to do like a fancy little acrylic paint or anything. I do believe these are rattlesnake proof, rattlesnake bite proof boots because I've had some before and the Gore-Tex feels like it. These are 10Ds if anybody wants to lay claim to them. I don't know what the dog sees, but the dog thinks he sees something. He's on high alert over there. So again, this is a lot stiffer brush than you would normally use. I like it's got a handle so I can like really put some force in there. And it's a Scotch-Brite hand and nail brush. And I mean, it seems like a lot, but you really want to get in deep because you've got all these crevices. So you need to actually be putting force up against that so that this brush is getting in there tight, because we are really, really trying to get these deep clean. We're trying to get off any excess wax that we can. all the stuff we can get so that we're down to the bare leather as much as possible. And the more we have brushed off, the easier it's going to be for our chemicals to strip. Um, I may do, I'll probably do some alcohol in my saddle soap tomorrow just to help um, break down some. But in some cases, you have to be careful with alcohol because it does actually help you chemically burn wax into the leather. So if you use too much, it can actually have the opposite effect. But if you just put like a couple little drops in there, it'll help with cleaning other things off. So I know it seems like I'm taking a lot of time to just scrape it, but this is what you need to do. It's not just a quick when you're trying to go deep. You really have to scrub in these layers, in all of your little crevices, so that you make sure that you're getting any dirt, any wax buildup. Because if you wax your boots, you are going to have like a wax buildup line along these seams. So that's another reason you want to hold it to the side and get in there, get that up. You're going to see, I don't know if y'all can see that, but saddle soap breaks all that down. Yes, saddle soap is really good for getting it all stripped, the waxes off. Whereas these guys are just conditioners, to be honest. I mean, they're doing like a very, they're doing more conditioning than actually really cleaning. I mean, they're getting like surface level dust off, kind of thing, surface level dirt off. And then that's why they look shiny, because they're conditioning and semi polishing. Whereas saddle soap is straight up getting all the funk off of your stuff. So that's why I think saddle soap is a lot better for cleaning if you want a really deep clean. Um, yeah, I can do that. I'll have to find a pair of boots that I'm going to strip, and I'm going to be doing these series um, pretty often now, probably try and do them weekly. Um, but we're starting off with these boots. These boots are probably going to take us, because I'm doing 2 this week, so today and tomorrow. And then next week, I was going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And by then, we should have everything stripped down. And by next Wednesday, we should be at the dye has dried stage. So that then the next week, I'm going to let the dye dry over the weekend. So then the next week, we'll actually be working on, because we'll probably do 2 to 3 coats of dye. And then I will, the next week, we'll be doing a top coat on it, letting that dry. Um, Deciding if I want another one. I'll probably do 2 satin um, covers on this, because these don't really have to be shiny, because they are like going out stomping in the woods boots, not really like dressy boots. So I'm probably going to put a satin top coat on this. They're like, these are the better ones. These are the ones that are really bad, and that's why we've got to strip them down to leather. Yeah, so I'm trying to decide, like, I kind of want to do them like a really dark green, maybe. Kind of weird, I know, but I want to have it something that goes with the real tree. And because of the color that we're at already, it's gonna have to be darker. So I was thinking like a dark green, like a really dark green, like this, because that'll cover. the darkness, and it'll let both boots come out the same. So we'll see. We'll see what we do. I'm getting a whole bunch of ding, 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 so I don't know what's going on. So again, it takes time, guys. It's not going to be something where we can just be like, because I'm doing this in real time for you guys. We're going to go through this whole process, and I am saving it, like I said, on YouTube and Instagram so that you can go back and watch it. I think only the Instagram comments are going to show. So if you have a question that you want to make sure stays on the video, maybe put it on Instagram. But do you ever do anything to get crap, fungus, or stink from inside used boots? Sure. Yeah. Things you can use are, there's actually, odorizers that you can put in. Who has the one? I think it's actually uh, the the one polish company, like the cheaper Kiwi. Kiwi has one that it's almost like an inhaler, and you put it down in your boots and you spritz it. Yeah, Kiwi has one. Yes, any kind of leather can be done the same way. Um, but you could also use Odovan. Like when I have purses that are kind of musty smelling, I'll actually put Odovan on a used dryer sheet and put that inside of it and just let it sit in there for a couple weeks, and then maybe you may have to add another one. But also sitting in the sun will help a lot with musty smell, to get that out. Uh, yeah, we got a lot of buildup on the corners on this, so it's good and it's bad. This person didn't really polish their boots. You guys have to take care of your leather. Leather needs protection. To keep its waterproofness, it has to have wax. To keep its like not looking like shit, it needs like shoe creams or these kinds of conditioners. You should be stripping your boots and your shoes. If you're doing like you should be, where you're polishing them at least monthly. Hey, Gems, you should be adding at least one coat of wax or a go over with your lemon thing once a month. Just to keep it's just like your skin. Do you put lotion on your skin? You need to put lotion on your leather. Leather is skin. You can't forget that. Leather is skin. And it dries up and flakes apart and looks like crap if you don't want your boots getting ashy, ladies. You do not want your boots getting ashy. So you need to be, boots or shoes or bags or any of it. So you need to be giving it the conditioning that it needs to stay moist and not get big old crevices like that. And the more moisture you keep in your boots, the less of this cracking and everything you're gonna get, because that's doing all that because it's dry, and so it's just cracking up. It's like whatever. I don't have anything holding me into my spot, but I thought these had a deeper gash, but luckily they didn't. Normally, if they have like a deep gash, there's a little bit of a flink coming up right there. Let me show everybody, all of the cameras. There's a little tiny bit right there. I don't know if y'all can even see it or not, but you can just hit that with a lighter. So we'll do that tomorrow probably, or I just pulled it off. If you have a big gash, that has a large thing coming up, you can use really, really low grade sandpaper. Let's see, what do we got up here? No more questions up there. I'm trying to check everybody's questions. I personally use Angelus. So, and I get all my supplies from myshoesupply.com. I don't remember if I have an affiliate link or not, but I think I do have a link on um, my link tree, which is, if you're on Poshmark, go to my About page. If you're on the other sites, look in the descriptions or go up on Instagram, look in my profile. That has the link to my link tree. For YouTube, I'll add it in the description. And you guys check my About page, and I do have links on there. But I go to myshoesupply.com. They have pretty much everything I use, I get from them, except for like my diapers, I get from Amazon. Like this, I got from Amazon. I may have even gotten this at the grocery store because it's a Scotch-Brite. It's not really actually a shoe thing. Um, but they have really good prices and sales on my shoe supply, and where I live, we don't really have anything available. I mean, we don't even have Kmart anymore. We used to have Kmart. The closest Walmart to me is 130 miles, so we pretty much have to rely on everything by mail, so internet orders. But they've never done me wrong with my shoe supply, and they also have a setup so that you can pay over time. In I think it's like 4 equal installments over 4 months, and I don't think it charges interest. I'm not sure. Um, but okay, so I think we're getting good on this. I can definitely tell where there's like wax buildup in some of this, or you can see the difference between the where there's still some wax and where there's not. So I know for sure we're gonna have to strip them. Cause yeah. Okay. Conditioner is fine for the Doc Martin and the honey, the leather honey. These are fine for conditioners. I also got these at my shoe supply. These are the most common ones that resellers use when they're repairing stuff. So that's why I was going to use it today, just to show if there is a difference and what the difference is. I have like, I don't know. I have kind of a love hate with Doc Martens because I really don't like using sponges for stuff, but it does actually get this stuff on a little better. I normally am like a diaper person. I mean, that might have come across wrong, but so what we're gonna do right now is I'm going to do one of these with Doc Martens and one of them with honey, leather honey, and then we're gonna let them dry overnight. And tomorrow we'll see which one looks best for just a condition clean um, versus a actual, deep clean, which then we're going to do with the um, saddle soap. So tomorrow will be saddle soap because you do use water when you're doing saddle soap. It it does make the leather wet, so I have to let it dry thoroughly before we go on to the next step. So that's why we're going to do tomorrow. We'll do the stripping with the saddle soap, and then that'll give it over the weekend to dry out really good. I know. So and that's kind of like a thing where a lot of people think, "Oh, I use this and they look good already." But you still have the issues with the fact that There are some areas that have polish, some areas that don't. This is down to the leather. So right now you don't have weather protection on there. You don't have water protection. And that's kind of a misconception. That's kind of why I'm doing this, to show you guys, is that yeah, it can look good with this stuff because it's finally getting some moisture, but you're still haven't protected your leather, especially when it's in shape this bad, where you've got scratches and scrapes down to the leather, and even your creases have broken up the protection down to the leather. So, and that's kind of like why we're going to do it this way instead of me just stripping them right away. I'm going to do it the way a lot of people are doing it. We'll see, like, oh yeah, it looks pretty, but then we'll discuss why it's not really going to help the person that you're selling to have a pair of leather purse or boots or whatever it is that's really going to last for them, unless they know how to do their own leather upkeep. A lot of times people are going to see videos where people just do this part of it, and everybody thinks, oh, that's perfect, that's all you need. And it isn't. And what ends up happening is people's leather goods start drying out, cracking. You start getting dry rot because you don't have water protection anymore up here where it's been stripped down to the leather. Yes, exactly, Candace. It's like this is like you put a little bit of lotion on, but you didn't put any sunscreen, so now you're gonna get sunburnt. You didn't put on your your collagen, so now your skin's getting all loose. So yeah, Candace had the perfect example there. This is basically you're just putting on some makeup and covering up your flaws or whatever, but you're not actually treating your skin. You're not actually taking care of your skin at the same time. That's why a lot of skincare products now actually, or a lot of makeup products now actually do have that two-in-one effect of also having sunscreen and stuff in it, because people weren't taking care of all of the factions, but then they're still not getting the whole job because you've got half and half. So, like I said, we're gonna look and see what uh, Doc Martens, Wonder Blossom, and Leather Honey do as far as making them look pretty. But then tomorrow, I'm gonna actually show you guys, like, after they dry, this is still a problem. This is still a problem. And like, kind of try and talk you guys through it so you can kind of understand why it's really not good enough, just to do that. And then we'll strip these bad boys down with our um, saddle soap, and also doing this way, I'm kind of giving the boots a little conditioner before I strip the hell out of them, because it is kind of an astringent process to saddle soap, and because it is stripping the leather down to the leather, or you're really actually going down to the top coat. Um, After I strip the leather or the wax and everything with saddle soap, the next thing we're going to actually do is deglaze. If you don't know, there's actually a thin coat, at least one. There's usually multiple that give that slight shine to your your leather item. And that's your glaze. And it can be a high gloss glaze, it could be a matte glaze, it can be a satin glaze, just like you're painting your house. So in this situation, we've gone down to leather, so we've already broken through that glaze. That glaze is gone from here. So if I don't deglaze the entire boot before I dye it, then I'm going to have different colors, because the areas that still have glaze are going to block the dye from getting as deep in. So we're doing multiple steps. Like I said, we're like going very deep. I'm trying to give you guys a all the way down to the leather experience so that you know like what it takes to actually follow through. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll just dye it. You need to deglaze first, because some people will also use acrylic paint, which is fine because acrylic. The good thing about acrylic paint is that um, it creates its own glaze, so you don't have to do the extra step of adding your top coats. But if you're not completely stripping the boot really well and getting all of the wax off, and I mean, in some ways too, just not going the extra mile and deglazing, you can still have that acrylic paint sit on there in different ways. So you're making it more likely to split and fall off. So if you're going to do something where you're going to paint it or dye it, my personal advice would be get it to the leather. So you want to strip it, condition it if you want first. Give it like a night just to kind of soak up some moisture so that it's ready for it, kind of like a chemical peel, right? So like you want to have your skin kind of extra condition, like a little extra moisture in there before you put this stuff on there that's going to strip a couple layers of skin off. Tomorrow I'll be doing the next step, which will be the saddle soap, and we'll see like what these guys look like um, done. I guess my girl's coming over at 1. I was going to be doing a sale show at 2:30, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it now because Sabrina's going to be here, but then that means that I don't know. Uh, Well, if she comes today, then she probably won't come Thursday. So that means that Thursday I can do the longer show. So we'll see what's going on. Yay. So I'm glad you guys are looking like that. Yes, definitely. And like I said, I am putting this on YouTube and Instagram. If you want to know my YouTube and Instagram, just go to my About page, and I have links on there to my Instagram, and then on the main link that's on my About page is to my link tree, and all my social media is on there. But it's pretty easy for YouTube. It's just youtube.com/@HunterOrion. It's like the only one that I got that I didn't have to put a bunch of underscores in to get my name. So it's okay. Also, like I know a lot of people will notice that like the edging on areas will flake. You're not conditioning it. Condition those edges because that's going to be rubbing up against your skin the most. And what your skin do? Your skin sweats. And you know what sweat has a lot of? Salt. That's something that you'll see a lot on boots, like especially on the instep. You'll see something white on there, like kind of like you can kind of scratch it off. White means salt. Salt means dry rot, just so you know. So if you are a heavy sweater, you'll need to be making sure even more that you are conditioning your boots big time, because we used to see it in the military all the time. Elise, are you still on up there? Hi, random stuff and a worker passion. Elise, are you still on up there? Oh, you're right there. Did you guys have it a lot too in the Marines? Because I know in the Army we did. Like people's boots would get all jacked up from the salt water. You were in the Marines, so I would think that you would have more salt. Yeah, like on your boots, getting the white salt, because I don't know if you were on any ships or not, because I know sweat gives it. Yeah, especially from swim qualifications. Yeah, so anytime you've got salt water, which includes sweat, you're gonna have white stains on your stuff. That white stain is salt. Salt eats leather. Salt dry rots leather. So you want to make sure that you are doing really good, and maybe even add a layer of moleskin on the inside area that you sweat a lot, because that can maybe help with that. Or especially wear thicker socks that help absorb the moisture more. A lot of times you'll see that more with people that are wearing like really thin socks that aren't able to absorb all the moisture. Um, but yeah, salt kills boots. So sweat, and that's where uh, the handles on purses. Everybody, the handles of purses. Just think about that. Those get so kind of cracky and dry because they're getting all the oils and the salt from your skin when you hold it there. So that's another reason to make sure that you're cleaning and conditioning and loving on your leather at least once a week or once a month. So, all right. So we got a pretty good condition on here with the Doc Martens. We're going to let that dry overnight, and we'll see how it turns out tomorrow. Again, you might be like, oh, look at what a great job I did on these. They're ready to sell. Unless you're selling with letting people know that it is scratched to the leather and they need to treat it, I wouldn't do it, because you're selling them basically a false promise in my mind. That's just me. But because they're looking at that thinking that, okay, these boots are really nice, they've been taken care of really well, and they haven't been, and they really need a lot more to be water resistant and to be you know lasting. This stuff is going to dry off. It's going to go away. It's not going to last a super long time. And if they don't know that, then you're really doing your customer a disservice. Okay, so now we're going to try honey leather, and I believe this one I put on with my diaper, which I use. I get my cloth diapers on Amazon, for those of you wondering, because I know I've had people ask me before. And I may actually go grab my... Okay, so this one wants me to do 1 ounce concentrate to 8 ounces of water. Okay, so let me go mix up my leather honey mixture, and I'm going to grab a little swoosher for that to apply that. So I will be right back. Yes, so this is the other boot that we're about to do, and we're going to do it with leather honey. So, and then I left the bottle there. Oops, you guys are like following my butt out. Okay, so don't leave. I'll be right back. got our leather honey mixture. So the leather honey appears that because we are mixing it with water, that it is going to also need us to let the boots dry a little bit stronger than otherwise we would. Whoops. Tilting it. No, Chewy, it's not liquid for you to drink. Okay, so let's get the diaper on here. All right. So we've mixed 2 tablespoons of leather honey with 8 ounces of water. I'm going to sit it over here on my little thing beside me, hopefully where it's not going to spill. All right, and then where did I just put my bag of stuff? So these are great things to have too. Little shoe cleaner kits. Definitely one thing to always have is your, Jesus, this isn't opening. It's like either way I went, it didn't. It's just closing both directions. Alrighty then. Hi. Yeah. Okay. Q-tips, also very important for getting into your creases and into these areas. So that's always really good to do after you polish to help remove that excess. You're pushing the wax into the leather, so it's going to be good, but then you're taking off that excess. All right, so I'm going to use this little buffy thing to put on. Coming off. Uh-oh. Well, that's weird. It's like attached. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so I really don't like that being on there because that will. So this has like a microfiber side, and so this is like usually like a buffing cloth is what you would use this for. My hair is like looking crazy today. But we're gonna use it to apply just because it's got a little more texture to it than, and it's probably gonna like not absorb the water as much as the diaper will. So we'll see how this works. So we're gonna get that nice and wet. Squeeze it out. Alright, so let's get in here and get in there really nice. So this is a concentrate. I'm wondering, this might actually stir up. I'm not sure. I do find it weird because that's a lot of water to be putting on a boot or to be putting on leather. So, does anybody else use leather honey and have any likes on it? Yeah, because this is almost looking like it might be stripping it like saddle soap does. Might be a good thing. Might be a new addition to our, because it's not shining it up after. It's kind of doing like saddle soap does. Kind of like getting it all. Yeah, and it does actually look like I'm getting some wax off. So we may have, and this is why I like using multiple items because I haven't really used leather honey before. I just knew that a lot of resellers do use it. So that's kind of why I wanted to see what it does. I thought it was just conditioner, but it does look like it's stripping it. So this could be a good thing. We may have another stripper, like in a good way, not a bad way. And it's kind of fine too that one got the most conditioner, like the just basic conditioner, since it was like the most tore up. Sorry, I went out of camera screen. Does anybody else have any more questions as we go through this? Like, yeah, so this is really getting a lot you can tell it's getting more than just dirt because of the color. So that to me is telling me that it is also getting, um, it's not just dirt that's coming off, it's also some of the color of the leather, which tells me that it's helping to strip down to the leather. But I'm still gonna do it again with saddle soap, just because I know for sure that saddle soap is gonna strip it all off, and I just want to make sure that we're getting it all good. But yeah, it's definitely getting some color off as well. No, this is actually we're today we were trying to condition some boots before I strip them tomorrow, and I wanted to try two cleaners that and conditioners that a lot of resellers use, just to kind of see, like, to show that difference of, okay, this might look like it's clean and all ready to go, um, but you're not actually getting all of the issues taken care of before we strip them. Um, but it looks like this leather honey is actually a stripping agent similar to saddle soap, which is what I normally use to strip boots. Um, so we'll see. I may have to condition these ones, although these are definitely not in the same shape. So we already did this one piece flower with Doc Martens. So it's got a nice little gloss on it, but I mean, this is down to leather here. So just because it looks pretty doesn't mean it's really ready to sell, unless you're selling it with the caveats that you have damage to the leather, down to the leather, you have cracks and creases that are deep. So that's kind of the thing of don't just put the don't just put um the lipstick on the pig and call it done. So yeah, this definitely does look like it is stripping it. So I'm kind of a little more impressed with leather honey now. Um, yeah, because it's not glossing it, but I can feel a little bit more smoothness. So I think it is definitely, it's actually supposed to be both a conditioner and cleaner, which the same with Doc Martens. Doc Martens is supposed to be a conditioner and cleaner, but it's actually more just a conditioner. So that's why it's it's almost like a waxy shoe cream. I don't know. It's kind of like a whipped polish to me is what Doc Martens is. But this is definitely feeling like it is also stripping, which is what I like, what I usually use saddle soap to do. So we are wanting to strip these down as much as possible. So that's fine. At least this way, we're getting to look at these two different products that a lot of resellers use. So everybody can see what they actually do. I've never really used honey leather, or leather. That's why I keep calling it honey leather. Leather honey. I've never used it before. Um, so that's why I wanted to see what it did, before we do the rest of the work on these guys. So tomorrow we're going to strip them down with saddle soap, and then we're going to let them dry over the weekend. And then Monday we are going to do our deglaze to make sure that we get the all of the glaze off. So that's the top coat that gets put on by the factory. So we're going to deglaze, get all of that off. So we are premium just on the leather, on everything. There's not going to be any glaze. There's not going to be any wax left. We're going to have it straight open leather. And then we are going to do our dye. Probably do 2 to 3 layers of dye, coats of dye, just to try and make sure that we got a nice good color. Let those coats dry really completely, and you want to make sure that your dye dries completely before we move on to the top coat. So that's why the dye is going to be the end for next week. Then the next week we'll actually be doing our top coat. I'm going to use a satin coat on these just because they don't need to be shiny, because they're work boots. But I'll be showing you guys how to paint on your glaze and like select what type of glaze you want. And like I said, for this one I'm going to use a satin just because you want that coat there, but you also don't want it super shiny because these are work boots. So we'll do that, and then after the glaze, then we'll just do a polish. So after the glaze layers dry completely, thoroughly, they're all done, then we'll go through and do like your basic care of the boot now that it's new. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing. Uh, no, saddle soap I would do like maybe once a year, depending on how bad your buildup is, or like if you do get a lot of salt on your boots, if you're in salt water or if your feet sweat a lot, then I would use saddle soap more often. Um, but because it is kind of drying, you only need to do it like maybe once a year just to strip all those layers of wax that you built up off so that you can start new. Because I usually do, like every time I shine, I probably do 3 to 6 layers of wax. Um, just depending on like what level of gloss I want it to look like. So you think about that once a month. So I do like the 3 to 5 for my first like nice build up a coat. Then you might use 1 to 3 every month just to get it clean and to the desired level of polish that you want. And then so at the end of the year, you've built up quite a few layers of polish. It might be cracking off in some places, depending on what how you're doing with taking care of it. So then you want to strip it so you can start the new year fresh down to you're basically stripping it down to the glaze layer. And so that's why you really want to make sure that you've got a good glaze layer across the entire boot, whereas these guys have been taken down past that glaze layer in a bunch of places. So that's why we're going to deglaze. You don't normally, like if you just have a couple small scratches here or like one small spot that's a little funky, you don't have to deglaze the whole thing. If you're going to just like I'll do in some cases I will do like if it's a really small area, I'll use shoe cream kind of as my dye. Just because shoe cream will color better than a dry polish. So I'll get the shoe cream in there really good, make sure that the color's matching up, and then maybe just use like a little paintbrush to do your glaze layer over and cover that up and make sure that it's protected. And then you're not going to have to strip your entire boot. These guys are all over kind of in a bad shape. So that's why we're taking them down to the leather all over so we can just do the whole boot. And I think we're going to go with, where's it at? I think we're going to go with this dark green that's on there, right in there on the pine area. So I think that's what we're going to do. Oh, I'm glad. And that's what I want to do. And I hope other people start doing this too on Posh. Because so many people in our community have things that they're really good at. And it's awesome if we can share that information with each other. So, I was in the Army, so obviously we had this, and I was like, my first duty station was White Hat, which is where we literally had more senior officers, which is like captain and above, than we had enlisted on this base. So you just work the gate by just salute every car, wave them in and salute them. So that is a base and we did parades every month. So we had to have glass shoes. I mean, so we definitely learned leather care there. And then when I was in Germany, you learn leather care of a different kind, not so much worried about getting a gloss as taking care of your boots so that they lasted. Because you have two very different environments, so there are different ways to take care of things. You have your one where we didn't do anything but, hey, super geek, come on in, girl. I'm doing a tutorial on boots, and we're going to take probably 3 weeks to get these boots done. But today we were doing cleanup honey leather on one boot, and Doc Martin on the other one. So you guys can kind of see the difference on what our clean and condition did of each one. And then tomorrow we are going to strip both of them with saddle soap and get them ready to be deglazed and dyed. So, so we'll strip them, get them down to the leather tomorrow, or actually tomorrow we'll just be getting all the wax and everything. We'll get down to the glaze layer wherever there's still some glaze left. Then we have to let the saddle soap dry over the weekend, and then we'll do the deglaze on Monday, and I think that's got to dry, and then Tuesday we'll start with our dye. So next Tuesday we should have the dye job done, and then the following week we will do our top coat, our acrylic top coat on, and then we'll do a polish. So there you go, guys. So there's our basic what, and I mean, to see, how well they kind of came out so far, just with the two products. So this is Dr. Martin's Wonder Blossom, and this is honey or leather honey. I keep calling it honey leather. So that's where we're at on the clean condition phase. And then tomorrow we're going to strip these bad boys with some saddle soap. But this is why you see this was our worst boot. This one that had the most damage to the front. And that's why a lot of times people are going to do this and then think, oh, well, I'm good. I'm good. Look, it's shiny. It's pretty. You don't see the damage as bad. But you're selling a product, then if you're selling it like that, you're selling a product that still has open leather, so it's not waterproof. You've got cracks in the leather, so it's, unless you're telling them, hey, all I did was Wonder Blossom it still needs to be stripped and taken care of. You're kind of doing a disservice just to stop at this. So that's why I really wanted to do this part. I thought the leather honey, was going to do that same kind of shine, but it does seem to strip more. So I kind of like the leather honey better than the Doc Blossoms. Oh, my video on Twitter has paused. Okay, so we ran out of time, I guess, on Twitter, so we're gonna share it. But yeah, so that's where we are, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Purses, belts, yes, definitely. Raven and I'll do some classes together, live stream. Also, if you buy anything from me that needs some kind of update to it, and I've told you, like, okay, this needs this, I am more than happy to do. I'm going to put this up so people aren't looking at my crotch. Hi, guys. Here I am. All right. So if you buy anything from me that I let you know ahead of time, hey, you know, it needs this. I am very happy. Yes, I do. I sell boots. I sell shoes. I have a lot. And I was actually going to do a sale today for $5 clothing. But my medical home aid helper is coming now instead of Thursday and Friday. So what's today? Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. So she's coming today instead of Thursday. So I may have to flip some things around on when I do that. But she usually leaves by 5:30. So I can do like till 8 at 8 tonight at least. Yeah, you have 45 pairs to do. Um Tonight at 8 o'clock, our group, we have like a little group called List With Me Crew, and basically we share your items and ours. Tonight is Elise Silman, so let me put her in here. I'm gonna put it into there. I'm gonna say goodbye to YouTube because now we're just gonna talk Poshmark stuff. So thank you very much, YouTube. And for anybody that wants to watch this later, it's being